You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now.
Hello and welcome to Tifo IRL. I'm Alex, I'm an analyst at Tifo. Today we're going to be looking at Diogo Jota and Roberto Firmino and how are they different. So here they are, look, both in the number 9 position. That's cheating because they've got 12 players. There are some obvious differences between these two people, not least that they are two distinct individual humans. Diogo Jota can also play here out on the left-hand side. Let's shift Sadio Mane up there to hide. But we're going to look now at the differences between them as number 9s and how that affects the way that Liverpool play more generally, and then also suggest one or two other things that are worth looking at. So we'll start with Firmino, and the reason for that is that Firmino is the classic Liverpool centre-forward. He's been there for quite a while, since he joined from Hoffenheim. And he really was integral to the way that Jurgen Klopp first developed that Liverpool system that we kind of come to associate with really the period of significant improvement. So you've got this kind of tight midfield three, they're there to sort of win the ball. Fullbacks are getting forwards and providing plenty of width and attacking options. And what you see here is Firmino obviously drops off, and then Salah and Mane, who are these incredibly aggressive attacking inverted wingers, they're looking to push in here like this, and Firmino's job is to play passes through into them and to facilitate that build-up play. Firmino is basically like a linking player between central midfield and the striking unit, because Liverpool at that point in time didn't really have a midfielder that was looking to push up. Now, with people like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita, that's slightly changed a little bit. Firmino also will drop off into wide positions. So that'll be maybe Robertson's pushed up here, Mane's waiting here to kind of pounce, and Firmino's the guy who makes himself available so that there's the opportunity to create this sort of passing triangle there. Another thing that's worth noting with Firmino is that if he is the more advanced of these players, say he's playing with his back to a defender here, if the ball is passed into him, let's say Oxlade-Chamberlain creates this pass here, Firmino's going to hold it up and he's going to look to play somebody in. So Mane might come round here on the underlap, and Firmino will hold, wait, and then when Mane's come round, he'll release the ball like this, and then Mane can create a shooting opportunity. Firmino's solidity, his height, his strength makes him more of a pivoting player in that regard. He's not looking to himself necessarily spin and get in behind the defender. He wants to draw others into the game. Obviously, also with Firmino, what you get is this incredible work rate and pressing. And so he will look to drop off here. There have been plenty of games where the opposition having a creative number 6 who's there to take the balls off the centre back and then start spreading play around has been disrupted by Firmino's ability to press the ball, to really sit on players, make life very, very difficult for them. He's good at doing those sort of curving runs like this to ensure that passing lanes out in this direction are cut off. And he really sets the tempo for that kind of thing. You'll see Salah and Mane are also obviously aggressive pressers, and they're looking to get forwards and close down in these wide areas. But it's Firmino that sets the tone for that and controls that really crucial central area, because teams, obviously, they're wanting to build up like this through a kind of pivot player. But you can't do that if Firmino's there, because he's very, very effective. Yes, he is a centre forward, so you will still see him making runs into the box, trying to get on the end of things. Maybe it's Salah looking to do that as a cross, or maybe, Salah's here and it's a wing back getting forwards and trying to cross like that. That's a cross. But this sort of movement of penalty box predatory type behavior is a little bit less what you'd expect from him. He's there to facilitate, to link, to bring other players in, super unselfish, really hardworking, and makes Liverpool tick, particularly in that system that we kind of associated with them before. But Liverpool signed Diogo Jota, and Jota can, as I say, play as a wide left player, which he has done before, but he has also played centrally quite a lot. So what does he do differently? Well, let's get rid of Firmino and let's bring in Jota. and we'll clear off a couple of these lines because things get a little bit confusing. That's better. So what's interesting about Jota is that he is, I don't want to say he's more of a classical centre forward, because when we hear that expression classical centre forward, we tend to think of like big hulking guys pushing up and winning aerial duels. But he's the sort of centre forward who is looking to play off the shoulder more, to get in behind more. So a good example there would be if Jota's in this situation like we had before with Firmino, where the passes come in from here, rather than wait for Mane's run, half the time Jota's going to be thinking, oh, actually, I can peel around here and have a shot myself. He's less interested in facilitating play for other people and probably a little bit keener to try and make stuff happen himself. Now, that's not to say he's a selfish player, because he absolutely isn't. In fact, per 90 over the last year, he's pressed a little bit more in terms of numbers than Firmino, although his pressing is not as good. But he has this kind of instinctive ability with the ball at feet to do interesting things, to carry the ball through tight spaces, to play quick 1-2s and try and get in behind. What's also really interesting is that that allows Liverpool's other forwards, Mane and Salah, to play a little bit wider and potentially a little bit deeper. Because if they know that Jota is up here looking to press onto the centre back, make their life difficult, force them backwards, make them think about, who's in this immediate area, rather than dropping off into this kind of space here, that means that they can actually, Mane and Salah, they can start their runs from deeper. They can drift into a bit more of a central area, take up these roles in the half spaces here, or stick right out on the touchline, because the whole shape of Liverpool's attacking unit is more aggressive because of his positioning here up there, rather than back here, where then you have to have more players clustered in this area. Now, obviously, that does leave room for the wing-backs to advance, but if Jota's doing that, then the wing-backs can underlap a little bit, which is something that you've particularly seen with Alexander-Arnold recently. Or these guys can start their run and kind of ghost into the area a little bit more, because Jota's attracting attention here, maybe Mane's coming in here, Oxlade-Chamberlain's pushing up. If you're clustering players, that is creating room for others. So rather than creating room by dropping off and looking to play in, as Firmino does, Jota creates room by pushing forwards, looking to play behind the defence, looking to squeeze people back. As I've said, Jota can also play wide here, and something that Klopp's done that's interesting is, let's get rid of you, play more of this kind of system. So what you've got here in effect is a kind of 4-2-3-1 that can look a little bit like a 4-2-4. That gives Liverpool plenty of options, because if Firmino's in this almost a 10 role here, but as somebody who can push up and play as a centre forward, and Jota's playing as a 9, but as somebody who can play in a wide area or drop off and facilitate a bit as well, that gives Liverpool loads of options. Now, the reason that they've tended not to do that is because issues in central midfield with fitness and so on, and also covering, and these aggressive wing-backs, mean that Klopp feels like that leaves him a little bit open against some better teams. But against teams that play with really packed defences, this is still an option. Now, Liverpool don't have a huge amount of cover in this area, but what they do have is 4 world-class attacking players with slightly different profiles. And that gives Jurgen Klopp the ability to change things on a game-by-game basis, depending on how he feels the opposition defence will play. If he wants the opposition defence pushed further back, sitting deeper, then he'll use Jota probably. If the opposition has a really influential number 6, he might use Firmino because of that pressing. But it's all good options for Liverpool, and it's because these two players are both very good, but they are also slightly different. So that's been Tifo IRL looking at Diogo Jota and Roberto Firmino. If you've enjoyed this content, then please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell so hard that it falls down, breaks, and you can melt it into 2 smaller bells.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Daniel Taylor, Ollie Kay, Amy Lawrence and Rafa Honigstein. There are journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.